That was right. Okay, something short. Okay. Okay. Oh, great, great.
Thank you, Josie. We had a few people that attempted a little bit of a jig up here. That's great. I know. A couple of weeks ago, I introduced you to a new Holly Near song, and we sang the chorus together, and today we're going to sing the whole thing together. So the chorus and the verses will be projected up there. The choir knows the song well, so just come along for the ride and have a great time. I invite you to rise in body and or spirit, and let's sing together. I am willing.
Before us, so lift What a great way to start the morning, huh? Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is healthy, loving, and just. We commit to live out our mission to empower and embrace, bridge and become, welcome and wonder. Thank you for being with us this morning. My name is Kurt Hill. I prefer he, him pronouns, and I'm part of the worship arts team. Leading worship with me today is Troy Fisher, our music director, Reverend Sarah Lewis, our director of community and faith development, and our minister, Reverend Mary Geer. Our guest minister this morning is Reverend Nancy Reid-McKee. Yay, right? Recently retired from parish ministry at the North Lake UU Church in Kirkland and currently serves as the president of the UU Commission on Social Witness as well as other roles in our faith. You are welcome here just as you are, whatever faiths sustain you, whomever you love, in all the ways you know and express yourself, and in all the ways you're becoming the person you aspire to be. Here are a few things you should know about the service this morning. We're streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those of you here in the sanctuary, you can see the subtitles here on the screen, and you can see subtitles if you're on Zoom. Over here, we have soft chairs and activities so everyone can be comfortable. We are a multi-generational community and that welcomes people of all ages in the sanctuary. There's also a nursery care and story time program in the classroom wing. Please be where you're most comfortable. We're grateful for the many hands that have helped make worship happen this morning. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After service, everyone will have a chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Nancy. For those online, we invite you to go to a breakout room for a virtual chat. For those of you here in the sanctuary, please stay and meet in the commons afterwards for discussion and coffee. At 12:15, please join us here in the sanctuary or on Zoom or back in the main Zoom room for a forum with the Board of Trustees about the future of OUUC and the aspirations of the Stewardship Drive. Speaking of stewardship, St. Patrick's Day is almost here, and whether or not you celebrate, one thing is certain. We're lucky to have OUUC in our lives. We're especially fortunate to have the OUUC choir, 40 voices strong, led by our incredible Troy Arnold Fisher. They fill our community with music that uplifts, inspires, and brings us together. As we continue our annual stewardship drive, we're grateful to be more than halfway to our goal. Right. But we need your help to get all the way there. Every single pledge, no matter the amount, makes a difference. Your support ensures that everything we cherish at OUUC, the music, the thought-provoking sermons, and the deep sense of belonging, continue to thrive. So, if OUUC feels like the pot of gold at the end of your rainbow, please make your pledge today and help sustain the community we love. It's busy here at OUUC. The Gen XYZ lunch happens at 12:15 in the classroom wings. If you're between 18 and 45 or thereabouts, come for good food and fellowship. At 2 p.m., you can join Reverend Sarah for the new to UU class on how we put our faith into action. And lastly, the OUUC Meditation Sangha is hosting a spring retreat next Saturday, March 22nd, from 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. here at OUUC. All are welcome. For more information or to let us know you'll be coming, please contact me. My email information is in the order of service. There are many things happening at OUC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. Now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition, with the words of Eric Hepburn. If you're online or have a chalice or candle, please join me as we light our chalices together. We light this flame to remind us, love is the center. As we grow and connect and mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Mary, and I use she, her pronouns. This morning, we light a memorial candle for Diane Daly, who died this past week on Monday, March 10th, at the age of 81. For several years, Diane lived with a severe illness of cancer, and it was in hospice care at the time of her death. She died at home peacefully. Diane was a deeply spiritual person, committed to the well-being of all. She was a devoted student of Buddhism and had a deep meditation practice for many years. She also practiced yoga, qigong, tai chi, and other embodied spiritual practices to enliven her body and spirit. Her friend, Aurora Winters, describes Diane as someone who radiated peace and serenity. It was those practices that helped Diane face the end of her life with an acceptance of our human impermanence. And it was her comfortable, warm, and engaged presence that helped those of us around her to do that same and come to a place of acceptance. Diane came to OUC after she and her husband Roger moved to Olympia in 2019, and she was seeking connection and community. Diane was involved in the sewing ministry here, and her beautiful quilts have regularly graced the walls of our sanctuary. Diane was also part of the founding of the OUC Buddhist Sangha and sat in meditation with the group for as long as she could. She participated in Soul Matters groups and book groups for the last 4 years, and she joined the group for the last time in February on Zoom. Diane was a stay-at-home mom early in the life of her son and daughter, and then taught kindergarten for many years. She and Roger met in Salt Lake City through their children and enjoyed 46 years of marriage. Diane was the mother of 2, stepmother of 2, and grandmother of 4. She was visited by family from around the country in the last weeks of her life, and she was so proud of her family and joyfully showed me photos of them on our last visit. Diane was an avid reader. I often left with book suggestions when we met, and there was usually a jigsaw puzzle being worked on in her home. She had a bright smile and an infectious laugh. And in the middle of some of our most serious discussions, often after she said one of her amazing insights, she would make a small joke, and we would laugh together. Diane left a legacy of devotion and love. She will be missed by so many. Diane's husband, Roger, asked that I read this in remembrance of his wife. It's a few lines from On Marriage in Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. You shall be together when the white wings of death steal your days. Roger, we know you through Diane as a devoted and loving partner who cared for her through good times and hard times. We hold you and your family in love and care. We share our grief at her death and lift up in gratitude for Diane Daly and all that she brought to OUUC and to this world. May Diane's spirit be at peace.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Nancy Reid-McKee, and I use she, her pronouns. I am a short, older white woman with brown hair wearing reading glasses. I have on black clothes today and a brightly colored stole. Our opening words are written by the Reverend Richard Gilbert. Join me as we settle into this place with these words. In the midst of the whirling day, in the hectic rush to be doing, in the frantic pace of life, pause here for a moment. Catch your breath. Relax your body. Loosen your grip on life. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business. Imagine that the picture of our being is never complete. Allow your life to be a work in progress. Do not hurry to mold the masterpiece. Do not rush to finish the picture. Do not be impatient to complete the drawing. From beckoning birth to dawning death, we are in process, and always there is more to be done. Do not let that incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not despair that imperfection marks your everyday. Do not fear that we are still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can be more than who we are right now. Let us celebrate the power of the incomplete, for life is always unfinished business. Come, let's worship together.
Let's sing a round together, shall we? I know we've got a room full of singers. Let's just do it. We're going to sing hymn number 188, Come, Come, Whoever You Are. The lyrics will be projected up here, but I think you'll figure it out. And let's just go with three obvious groups. I'll let the choir be a group. They know how to do that. And this will be a group over here, and this will be a group on this side of the room. All right? And let's start here. We'll make the choir go last. Group 1, Group 2, and Group 3. So we're going to start all together singing... Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, though you've broken your vows, keep that going. 1,000 times, come, come.
Come,
Wonderful.
Good morning. So the story that I have to share with you today is about a water carrier. Do we all know what a water carrier does? They carry water, yes. So in some times and in some places, there's not indoor plumbing, and it is an important job to go to where the water source is, fill up containers with water, and bring it back to where the water is needed. Now, this particular water carrier in this story had a fairly decent walk to do every day for their journey to the water. And on this walk, they carried 2 big pots, either side of a stick that would balance across their shoulders. Now, one of the pots was perfect. It was absolutely without blemish or flaw of any kind. And so when it was filled with water all the way to the top, not a single drop of water was lost on the journey back to where it was needed. But the other pot had a crack in it. And so when it was filled all the way to the top, on the journey back, it leaked. Drip, 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 steadily the whole way back, so that when the water carrier returned to the home, there would only be about half of the water left. This went on day after day after day. Every single day, the water carrier made this journey back and forth. Now, of course, the perfect pot was very proud of itself. It gloried in its perfection and the fact that it did its job so well and brought all the water back. And the cracked pot felt rather ashamed of itself. The cracked pot felt that it just wasn't getting the job done well enough. And so one day, as they were at the water source and filling up the pots, the cracked pot said to the water carrier, "I'm so sorry. I have to apologize to you." And the water carrier said, "For what?" And the cracked pot replied, "Well, you work so hard, and I just leak. And so you do all this work, and you get back, and there's only half the water there. I'm so ashamed of myself." The water carrier felt deep compassion for the way that the cracked pot was feeling and suggested, on the journey back to the house today, pay attention to the flowers on the path. And so they went back on the long journey, and the cracked pot did pay attention to the flowers. There were many beautiful flowers the whole way back. But still, when they returned to the house, the cracked pot was feeling very ashamed of itself. "Did you notice the flowers?" asked the water carrier. "Well, yes, they are very lovely," said the cracked pot. "But I just feel so bad. I feel I'm not good enough." And the water carrier asked, "Did you notice that the flowers are only on your side of the path? Why, I've known all along about your flaw, and we've used it because we've planted flowers along the way. And every day, drip, 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 you water the flowers. And so every day, I am able to gather beautiful bouquets to put on the table in the house and bring joy to everyone. Why, it is your flaw that makes you perfect." And isn't this true for all of us? We are all flawed. We are all cracked pots in some way. And it is these flaws that are our beauty. Thus ends our story.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we're able to do more than any of us can do alone. We express our gratitude for the gifts of life that have been given to us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. If you're new or visiting us for the first time, we don't expect you to contribute. However, if you're moved to do so, whatever you give will be gratefully received. The offering here collected does two things. It helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by your regular pledges. The offering also supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. For the months of January and February, the generosity of this community generated a total of $8,388.41, half of which supports OUUC, and half we give to charitable causes. As a result, OUUC sent $3,669 to New Horizon communities to support their work on behalf of those without homes, and $524 to the Ministers Fund to help those in need at OUUC. Thank you for your generosity. Our Share the Plate organization for March and April is Wild Grief. This is what they share about their work.
Hello, Olympia UU congregation. My name is Monica Annie. I use she and her pronouns, and I'm the program director at Wild Grief. We are a small local nonprofit. We've been around for about 10 years, and we offer free peer support groups for people of all ages who are grieving a death, and we do all of our programs in nature through hiking and camping and backpacking. We really believe that it's really important to normalize grief, and that being together outside with other people who have a shared experience is really healing. We serve over 350 people per year, all the way from babies to elders, through all these different programs, including programming in Spanish. All of our programs are totally free, and we provide all the gear for the overnight programs and help with transportation and just try to make them really accessible. Here's just some reasons why you might want to support us. People love our programs and come away from them usually saying that they feel a sense of relief and just connection and community. And also here in Thurston County, there actually isn't any other free grief peer support available right now, especially for children, teens, and young adults. So this is really crucial right now, the work that we're doing here. Here's some pictures from our teen backpacking trips and from our family camp out. And if you're interested in volunteering, you can just go to our website, wildgrief.org, and check out the volunteer page. We have a lot of ways to plug in. Thank you so much for supporting our work. We appreciate it.
May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you so much for your generosity in all the ways you share your many gifts. This morning, we do what humans have done for all of our existence. We gather in times of worry and anxiety and in times of celebration and joy. We come into our community bringing all that is on our minds and in our hearts. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. We'll hear a drum beat. Allow its resonance to enter into your body. It's the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of community. So right now, I invite you to take a deep breath in and out. Feel the air as it enters and leaves your body. Feel the earth beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. We send our love and care to the family and friends of Diane Daly. May we celebrate her presence in our lives as we mourn her passing. This past week was the 5-year anniversary of the COVID shutdown in March of 2020. 5 years. We are still here, and we're still working through the effects of the world-changing event while we're in the midst of more upheaval and change. May we recognize our interconnection and know that now more than ever, we need each other. And this coming Thursday, March 20th, is the spring equinox and the pagan holiday of Ostara. There will be an Ostara ritual here at OUC after the community dinner on Thursday at 6:30 for anyone who is interested. And all of us can appreciate this day when there is balance between night and day as we seek some balance in our lives and in our world. May we celebrate the return of the light. Now let's open our circle wide. For those on Zoom, I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those of us in the sanctuary will be able to see your sharing on the screen, and it will be shared with me and the pastoral care team. For those on site today, I invite you to come forward if there's something you'd like to bring into this community. You may place a stone in the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Let's hear the heartbeat of our community as we open our hearts in love and care to all those who share today. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And we'll place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. We hold together all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know yourself beloved.
I invite you to be in this time of prayerful meditation in whatever way is comfortable for you. Let's take a few moments to simply breathe together. I invite you to sit back, put both feet on the floor if that's comfortable for you. Perhaps close your eyes. Beloveds, breathe with me. Really, take a breath. Take a deep breath. I know, I really do. Some days I feel I can barely take a breath, let alone breathe deeply. So much is happening that it has left me gasping for air. My country seems in chaos. My beloved community feels threatened. The world spins out of control, and the very earth beneath our feet feels unsteady. It takes my breath away. It is the chest-tightening constriction as I witness the unimaginable, the cries of anger, loss, sorrows too deep. And I hear the distant throbbing, the collective heartbeat of the land. It takes my breath away. I practice a breath, and then a deeper breath. Breathing in, I feel my lungs expand. Breathing in, I feel my heart beat slowing. I breathe out. Beloveds, breathe with me and feel the energy come from the bottom of your feet like a tree, grounded, drawing up strength and nurturance from our earth. Breathe with me and feel your body, your branches reaching to the heavens, the source drawing down inspiration and clarity. Breathe with me and connect to the power of your center. Breathe with me and connect to your heartbeat, pulsing blood through veins, deepening wisdom and transforming love. Breathe with me, beloveds, and in our collective breathing together, let us summon our resolve, our compassion, and our resistance to that which tries to close off the breath of life. Practice breathing. Practice again. Don't stop. I need you to keep breathing. I need you to breathe for me and with me. Please, let's breathe together. Let's hold a moment of silence together.
That's so much fun to sing. Today's reading is by Reverend Gretchen Haley, titled Surrender to This Life. Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past, forgive the future, for each come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight. If only we keep waking up. This is the gift. We have been given these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it all, giving together thanks.
So the craft of using a wheel to make pots is called throwing clay. I began throwing pots when I was in high school. Although there was no class, there was a room that had a wheel in it and it had a kiln in it, and I convinced one of the art teachers there to let me have an independent study in throwing clay. And then when I was in college, I continued to take pottery classes, and since that time, I have always found a community studio or created my own space where I can throw pots. During the COVID years, I found the Kirkland Arts Center had a ceramic studio to work in, and I spent 2 years in this weird public space, sitting next to other people with plastic sheets surrounding each of us so we didn't breathe on each other, but in a community of other people like me who needed to have that mud on their hands. It was what helped me endure those COVID years. Pottery does something for me that I don't find anywhere else. I spent hours hunched over the turning wheel, creating mugs and bowls and plates that I have no need for. It's the act of creating something that I need. So I can talk for hours about making pots, and you are stuck here with me as a captive audience. So I'm going to take advantage of this and tell you all about it. The first skill you have to learn in pottery is how to center the clay. I'm serious, you're going to learn how to throw a pot today here. After taking this lump of clay, you throw it onto the wheel head, and then you have to push and you have to pull and move it so it's exactly in the center of that wheel. And if it isn't centered, as you begin to bring the sides up, it will lose its shape. One side will be thicker, the top will be lopsided if it isn't centered when you begin. There have been many books written about the art of centering clay. It is the first, most absorbing challenge each new potter has to master, and it can be the most daunting challenge. Raise your hand here if you've ever tried to center clay on a wheel. Yeah, how do you like that? Some people approach this very logically. They do the problem-solving method and scientifically figure out how they're going to throw that clay on there. Others of us approach centering in a more meditative, grounding way. After throwing for 50 years, I can center a piece of clay. Most of the time. There are days I can't. And on these days, I recognize that I myself am not centered. And sometimes the clay itself won't be centered. It may have an air bubble, or there may be a section of the clay that is drier, and so it will not move. With these pieces of clay, I have learned that I cannot fight it. The clay is what it is, and I can try to push and force it, but the clay will not budge. And with these pieces, I can either let the clay decide what shape it will be, or I can take it off the wheel and get rid of it altogether. Each time I center, seriously, you're going to learn how to do this, right? Each time I center, I moisten my finger, and as the wheel starts to turn, I lean in and I put my finger and I create this circle on the wheel head to center my attention on where I want that clay to land when I throw it. And then I lean over the clay and I place both moistened hands around it and I firmly grip it as I ease the clay to the center as it spins. I could go into greater detail about this, but what I want to convey is that when I am throwing a piece of clay on the wheel, I am completely focused on that piece of clay, figuring out how to pull it into shape while keeping it firm and even. I get lost in this. I can spend hours so focused that I lose track of the time and of the world all around me. I only see that clay. I am in the zone. Chris Staley, a fellow potter, says, pots can create a world of slow time where meaning can be found. As you can imagine, after 50 years of throwing pots, I have hundreds. Most of them are in boxes in my garage that I periodically donate to Goodwill or to an Empty Bowls event. I've been striving all this time to develop a shape that is unique to me and working to create perfect pots, but very few are actually very perfect. And over the years, I've become less enamored with the perfect pots I have made. After all, if I want something perfect, I could go to any store and buy a round, even, nicely glazed pot, right? The pots that I have kept for myself over the years are the ones that don't go the way I expected. They may have a bump or a hole or some flaw that gives that particular piece a character that draws my spirit to it. I once shared a garage studio with my friend Laura. I was pleased that I had created a particularly nice pot. It was tall and it was even. I was very proud of that. And I left it on the wheel head to dry as we went off to take a break. And then as we opened the garage door, Laura's 4-year-old son, whose name was Clay, I kid you not, zoomed into the studio, accidentally stepping on the pedal of my electric wheel, causing it to spin so fast that my pot flew off, landing on the floor. It was still somewhat intact, but it was definitely misshapen. I decided I may as well just finish it and glaze it anyway. It came out beautifully. So we called it Clay's Mistake, and I entered it into an art show where I won the only award I've ever received for my art, that flawed piece. There are life lessons I gained from my pottery, and the first has to do with my spiritual grounding. As a religious person, I find that the world leaders I admire the most are those who have an authentic nature, those who seem grounded, solid, and at peace with themselves. And more often than not, when I read up about these people who I admire, I learn that they have some form of meditative practice they describe as essential. Now, I have not been good at establishing a daily practice of meditation or prayer. I want to, but the time I deliberately attempt to quiet my soul, to sit down in silence, they mostly end up just agitating me. I'm someone who needs to always be doing something or planning the next thing on my list to do. And so for years, I thought I would never be spiritually mature. In his anthology of essays called Everyday Spiritual Practices, the UU minister Scott Alexander includes essays that explore what spiritual practices look like, especially for those of us who don't seem able to engage in the stillness, a still prayerful meditation practice. In her contribution to the book, Susan Mankerseal writes an expanded view, writing these words: "The mundane world is a source of deep spirituality. We do not have to fit ourselves to someone's prescribed discipline in order to feel that we are being spiritual. Spirituality is with us always, and our individual situations will define the tools we choose to use if we take the time to listen to ourselves and know our joys and yearnings, whether for quiet or a walk, for exercise or music, for strenuous activity or another hand in ours, for effort or for work that is meaningful, for the creative task or for the work of community. Whichever path you choose, may you find that for which you search, and your yearning be fulfilled." So I have learned that pottery is my spiritual practice. It is the tool I use to be completely present in a process that absorbs my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual attention. A second lesson has to do with striving for something perfect. The times I am most unhappy in my pottery studio are when I look at each piece critically, looking at my inability to get that shape that I want, noticing the dent where I bumped a wet pot or a rim that is distorted. When I am most happy is when I can live in that balance between making something pretty even, but can also see my own personal flaw present in that piece. I hold on to that truth that nothing I make by hand will be perfect, and that is part of my artistic voice. So I've thought a lot about how good my pottery pieces are, and I've struggled over the years to get better, but I also know that I don't want perfect pots, and this brings me to the topic of perfectionism. Many of you probably know Brené Brown's research and writings. Her 2010 TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, is one of the most viewed talks in the world. Her research into what makes people happy and thriving found that healthy, wholehearted people were the ones who value such things as play, rest, creativity, and worthiness. When she asked what made them happiest, she thought that people would say success, but they didn't list that at all. They did not place a high value on certainty, perfection, conformity, or on judgment. She also found that striving for perfection resulted in feelings of shame, fear, and vulnerability. Those who could accept their own imperfection became more courageous, more adventurous, and lived fuller lives. So I've been thinking a lot about living in this culture, where there's pressure to succeed, to do things right. When we play sports, we hope we'll be good enough to win. At work, we hope for recognition, for promotions and pay raises. When we volunteer, we expect some recognition or gratitude for work well done. Even when we can't be perfect, there is pressure to be the best that we can be. Recently, my family and friends have been urging me to sell my pottery, but I really can't. It's not good enough. I'm not careful enough or focused on results enough. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Even the thought of having to make my pots good enough to sell robs me of the serenity I experience in my pottery shed. And so here's the lesson I've learned from ceramics. Letting go of the striving, releasing the need to prove my skill, letting go of all these things is liberating. I can relax into my imperfection and even come to find this more fulfilling. There's a beauty to be found in the flaws. Things in life aren't beautiful because they're perfect. They are beautiful because they are flawed and unique. For me, it's where I see my own humanity. This is greater than a pot. It's in all art, and it's in all of us. I recognize you more and delight in you most when I see your mistakes and shortcomings. It gives you character, and I can see your authenticity in your flaws. We hold these flaws in common. This is our shared humanity. Leonard Cohen says it, right? Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. It's how the light gets in. I'm not talking to you about ceramics because I want you all to become potters. I don't want that competition. What I am urging you to do is to find that practice, whether you consider it spiritual or not, that resonates with your spirit and absorbs your attention, and do that. And don't do it well. Do it well enough. Let yourself delight in not being as good as the person next to you, but being good enough for your soul. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in. Let me end with my favorite quote from Howard Thurman. He says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what brings you alive, and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." Let's take a moment for silent reflection.
Let's rise in body and our spirit and sing together hymn number 1028, Fire of Commitment.
Away.
If you're online and have a chalice or candle, please join me as we extinguish our chalice with the words of the Reverend Gretchen Haley. There is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. No right beliefs or proof of citizenship. No eternal optimism or clarity of conviction. No boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here or how you will solve that problem you are turning over and over and over in your mind. Your bills do not need to be paid, and your checkbook can be a mess. Your children may have been up half the night. Your hearing aids may not be working, and your knees may be creaking. You do not need to be already perfect or even halfway to belong to this circle where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us where it found us. Where love resides in each of us, yet is somehow more than all. Where life still pulses and rages and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Go in joy, go with commitment, go in love, go in peace, and go in love again, my beloveds. Amen.